November 21st. 53 B.C. Marcus Licinius Crassus, one of the triumvirs with Czar and Pompey, killed at Haran in Syria. He was surnamed Dives, the rich, on account of his vast fortune. He once gave an entertainment to the whole people, in which 10,000 tables were set, and besides distributed corn enough to last each family 3 months. He perished, with a great part of his army, in an expedition against the Parthians, undertaken from motives of avarice and ambition. 533. The famous institutes, or system of elementary law, were completed by the delegates of Justinian. They were divided into 4 books, proceeding methodically from 1, persons to 2, things, and from things to 3, actions, and 4, private wrongs, terminated, as in Blackstone, by the principles of criminal law. 1555. George Agricola died, a physician of Glauson, in Misnia, known for his learning and works on minerals. 1579. Thomas Gresham, an eminent London merchant, died. His knowledge of commerce was considered complete, and he acquired a great fortune. He transacted the Queen's commercial affairs, and his house was sometimes appointed for the reception of foreign princes. The first royal exchange was planned and executed by his munificence. 1616. Richard Field died, an English divine, eminent for his learning, benevolence and piety. 1638. A General Assembly of the Scottish Church met at Glasgow. It is said that not a few of the 260 commissioners of whom it was composed could neither read nor write. 1640. John, Duke of Braganza, proclaimed King of Portugal. He recovered the independence of that kingdom, which had been annexed to Spain by Philip II in 1580. 1692. Thomas Shadwell died, an English dramatic writer, historiographer and poet laureate. 1695. Henry Purcell died, a very eminent English musician and composer. 1736. Battle of Portobello. A squadron was fitted out in England for the purpose of destroying the Spanish settlements in the West Indies, and placed under Admiral Vernon. The attack was made on Portobello by the English, and after a furious engagement on both sides, the town surrendered. 1763. Public notice given in London that East and West Florida should be laid out into townships, and granted to those who would actually settle there. 1775. John Hill, an English apothecary and writer, died. He published a system of botany, and was engaged in a great number of literary labors at the same time. He was also famous for several medicines which he prepared. 1777. Congress recalled Silas Deane from Paris, and appointed John Adams to succeed him. 1780. At the Bank of England 471,003% stock was transferred to Mr. Van Otten on account of the Landgrave of Hesse, so much being due on Hessian soldiers lost in the American War, at 30 liters per man. The number of men lost was 15,700. 1781. Jean-Frédéric Philippos de Maurepas died, a French statesman, eminent for his genius, activity and profound sagacity. 1782. James de Vaucanson, a celebrated mechanician, died. He constructed with wonderful ingenuity various automata, and improved and simplified the machinery of silk mills, and advanced the interests of commerce and science by many other curious and useful inventions. 1783. The Marquis d'Arlington-Pie later Rosier made an aerial voyage in a machine called a Montgolfier, in honor of the inventors, it being the first balloon, raised by rarefied air. 1803. John Buckler Skinderhans, the famous German robber, executed, with 19 of his band. He was the son of indigent parents, and entered into the service of an executioner. His first crime was a petty theft, which grew into the most extensive and expert robberies. He never committed murder, and expected pardon on that account, to the last moment. 1806. Bonaparte's famous Berlin Decree, declaring the British ports in a state of blockade. 1807. Abraham Newland died at Heidelberg, in England. He was 60 years cashier of the Bank of England. 1812. Battle of Borisov. The French and Poles defeated by the Russians with great loss. 1812. Fort Niagara bombarded by the British from Fort George and 5 other batteries. Above 2,000 red-hot shot and 180 shells were fired, which was returned with so much spirit that the British had the worst of the battle. American loss: 4 killed, 7 wounded. 1832. The Emperor of Russia issued orders for the transportation of 5,000 families of Polish gentlemen from the province of Podolia to the steppes, on the line of the Caucasus. The University of Warsaw was abolished, except the faculties of divinity and medicine, and the library and collection of medals transported to St. Petersburg. 1832. Battle of Konik, between 75,000 Turks and 40,000 Egyptians, in which the former were defeated, and the Grand Vizier taken prisoner. 1832. Great riots at Lyons in France, which originated in a strike for higher wages by the operatives engaged in the silk manufacture, by which 30,000 persons were thrown out of employment, and the city was for some time at the mercy of the mob. 1835. James Hogg the Utrecht shepherd, a Scottish poet, died. He was the son of a very poor shepherd, but his poems raised him to a high standing as a poet, and caused his society to be sought by the learned and the great. 1835. Alexander Shemiat, one of the most learned Orientalists of Europe, died. He wrote a history of all the Arabian emperors under the Abbasides, and other works. 1848. Line Stabling died, one of the original proprietors of the soil on which the city of Columbus is located, and among its earliest inhabitants. He was one of the most wealthy men of the state, and was distinguished by private charities and public munificence. 1851. James E. Takei, an eminent geologist, died at Oyster Bay, aged 59. He was educated for a physician, but devoted himself from early years to natural history, and contributed the Department of Zoology to the publication of the New York Survey. 1852. Mary Berry, an English authoress, died aged 90, embalmed to posterity by the personal attentions and epistolary intercourse of Horace Walpole. 1856. Samuel Swartwout died, aged 73. He was a noted politician, and during the presidency of Jackson was collector of the Port of New York.